Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan Basha, the business doctor. Following our conversations with empowered women who woke up one day and consciously claimed, I am more than enough, I am worthy, I am empowered to grow. And along their empowering journey towards realizing their own potential and their quest for growth, they became a beacon of hope and guidance for others. May you also find your inner power to grow. So we're back. As always, I love continuing our conversations because there's always uncharted areas where we could get to. And as I was telling Nicole, I was like, there's a statement she used in the first part that we wanted to kind of address again. And it was, she said, she thought, or you thought, that at 35, it was too late, that, you know, travel is out of question or whatever. And I think that is the thing that, again, I keep talking about societal expectations of us and how we've been conditioned. And we've been conditioned that there's certain things, you know, it's like, I call it the checklist, but certain elements that you need to be doing at that certain age bracket. And once you're done, you're done. And for a lot of women that I talk to, they're like, yeah, it's too late. I can't build a business now. I can't start something new now. I can't do this. I'm too old for this. I'm like, no, I reinvented myself at the age of 40. And, you know, it's kind of, you think that I'm done, but actually I'm just about finding out myself.
I think you let those barriers, you believe that the barriers are there. And I think you're right. For me, it did start at around 35. I thought if I'm not a news presenter by 35, I'm going to be way too old.
Yep.
I was by 35, but I was, I wasn't married. I'd just come out of a long relationship. And I remember waking up on my 35th birthday and having breakfast with mum and dad up the road and crying, thinking, this is it. Like, I'm 35 and I might not even have any children, and now looking back, 35 seems so young. But at the time, you're just so caught up in that, that's sort of the cutoff for children and marriage and everything like that. Now, if only we all had a crystal ball, because then I met my husband, on a blind date that year, later that year, and that led to so many more things opening up, and that led to us getting married within a year. And I had Ava at 39, so that was able to happen. And again, like you say, I've had to reinvent myself a lot, because we went to Hong Kong and I left my career as a newsreader behind, and I didn't really want to go into that in Hong Kong because I wanted a bit more flexibility, and I was probably a bit intimidated as well, to be honest. Looking back, I probably shouldn't have been, but I was. So I did a little bit of work as an MC, Master of Ceremonies, and then I started writing, as we said before. So it was constantly just reinventing who you are. And again, I had to do it when we went to China, and then coming back to Sydney a couple of years ago. You're constantly sort of moving and it around, and where you're going to go and how you're going to do it. And as you said, if the husband is the one with the job that is traveling all the time, then you are sort of bound to be at home if you've got children, to make sure that they're okay and you're the stable sort of ground for them. Yeah. So it's tricky, but you need something of your own, and you've got to make that work. And I think women can keep reinventing themselves. I mean, I'm almost 49 now, and I've just become an author, and I would like to think there's a long life for that to keep going,
But that's the point, Nicole. Like, as you said, part of the intimidation is because you've been doing something for 10 years, like when you were a newsreader, and now you lose structure. I think it is that kind of the intimidation by the unknown. I think I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan, so I talk about him a lot, but so, he was talking about, like, what stops people are usually two big fears, and it's still fear. It's the fear of the unknown, and it's the fear of failure. And it's like, what if? And that's what I advocate now. And when I work with women directly and stuff, and men, whoever, and I say that question of what if, we always associate it with the worst case scenario. What if I fail? And what if this happens? I'm like, why can't we replace this? And I encourage them to kind of switch their mindset in that perspective. From that perspective, is what if it works? What if I achieve everything I've set out to achieve? What if this new path is the one I've been looking for? And if we possibly that kind of disseminates the intimidation a bit, but also helps us to think positively, and not in a disconnected from reality point of view, but positively, as in, what if I assume the best case scenario is coming out of it?
I agree.
Actually,
I think, because we pigeonhole ourselves, so much into what we were, and I remember when I went to Hong Kong, I thought, well, all I can do is read the news. But I forgot that I've actually been in media for 20 years.
Yes.
And I've been a producer, I've been a reporter, I've made documentaries, I've trained people, like all of those skills I had, but I momentarily forgotten them, thinking that I'm just in this box here and that's all I can be. So if I'm not there, what am I going to do? Exactly. And then I was probably too scared to go into the big Hong Kong networks. And like, looking back, I probably would have read a bulletin backwards at that point, because I've done it so much, not now, but back then would have been the perfect time. But it was just that intimidation and, the fear, like you say, the fear of failing. And
that's the point. But then moving forward, as you said, it is about tapping into and capitalizing on our core competences. And we lose touch of those because for us, they just become familiar and they are taken for granted. So I don't have to think about it. But now that's another thing that is like, I'm visiting this concept over and over again, because I had a school friend of mine that got in touch like 20 plus years after. And she's like, well, recently. So then she's like, I'm so proud of you. And it's so natural. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you were always a coach. I'm like, how is that? She's like, back in school, anyone who wanted to talk or feel better or needed a different opinion or perspective, they always came and talked to you. And I'm like, I did. And then, I took that and I started reflecting. I'm like, yeah, I've always done that. I just hadn't realized it.
You know what? That's so funny. That's exactly what a good friend of mine from high school, who I knew when she was 13, and she'd just read my book, and she said to me, I always knew you could do this, because when I moved from New Zealand to Australia as a teenager, she said, you would write the longest letters detailing everything that you were doing. And we felt like we were there. She said, this is what you were meant to do. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that funny that we don't connect?
Exactly. Which is beautiful. And I think that's why I encourage people to talk to those around them, to ask them, like, what do you think I could be doing? Or how do you see me? Or what view would you say? And that gives us, like, of course, we're going to get the disempowering statements. Let's put those on the side. But, but that still gives us kind of exploration insights that I could take and say, how do I feel about this? Let me work with this a bit more.
I think that's a good idea, because, those people that are around you, they see you in different ways that you possibly don't see yourself. And
that's a beautiful thing. Everyone you meet experiences you from a different lens. They have a completely different experience of you, and that's why, like, for a lot of people, they could be horrible bosses, but they're amazing family people and friends, and or the other way around. So it sometimes maybe just, that's another resource of ours that we also most of the time overlook, is our networks. Is tapping into your network, whether that is a familial one, or a friendship, or, colleagues and stuff, and people you've encountered along the way, and say, how about? And I think this could be one of those initial exploration questions.
I agree. Yeah, because you do see, there are so many networks, and we can tap into those with technology, as we've seen during COVID as well, even more so. All we need is a computer and we can talk to anyone. And so there is an abundance of people that can help you or coach you or, point you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's true. Well, from the perspective of connection, I am honored and extremely pleased to have connected with you. So, and this
Likewise.
is across continents. So let's
Yes, it is.
thank technology for it.
Beautiful. I know. It's incredible. It's really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for our Unchartered discussion. And I'm going to make sure I read your book as well. So I have not done that yet. So I'll purchase and read your book. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot more discussions going forward.
Awesome. Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everyone. Once again, Empowered You empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. For further engagement with a tribe of empowered women, join my Facebook group, Empowered to Grow, or visit my website, www.hananulbasha.com. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that Empowered You empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.